Hello and welcome back to the Stronghold. I'm the Magi, and today we're going to talk about Limited. You see, recently I was asked a question by one of my viewers as to how I felt about Premier Draft versus the thing I talk about more, Value Draft, and how I thought they compared, which one was better, and why. And that got me thinking, and ultimately I decided it was time to have a good old-fashioned limited smackdown. Let's talk about all the different options, what I think is the best, and most importantly, why I think that. But before we get into all that, I am super excited at the prospect of getting to 500 subs because that is going to allow me to do a lot of really cool community building stuff for y'all over on EtherHub. So take just a moment, do all those YouTube things to support the channel, and I won't have to be awkward about it. Now, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, right. So first off, I think it's important to establish a baseline. Obviously, the most basic way that you can be adding new cards and value to your collection is simply by opening packs, for which you will get 1 rare or mythic, 2 uncommons, and 5 commons. There's also a lovely little thing called pack protection, meaning that you are guaranteed to open a rare or mythic that you don't already have, unless you have them all, in which case you'll just get gems. So those 5th rares really kind of go out the window, at least for a little while. The reason to prefer Limited as a vehicle for building your collection is the packs that you open and use for a limited event have 14 cards of them, not 8. So you get 1 extra uncommon and 5 extra commons. And that right off the bat is adding about 50% push to the lower end of your budget collection. Meaning just playing limited, you're doing 50% better pretty much right off the bat. Packs that you win in those limited events, of course, go back to the standard 8, 1, 2, and 5 ratio. So now that we've established a value baseline and the relevance of limited play, allow me to jump to the other end of the spectrum and take just a moment to eliminate traditional limited environments from the conversation. The primary reason being traditional sealed and traditional draft are always best of 3 environments. So not only does the win-loss matrix shift around pretty dramatically, it introduces an entirely different skill set into the equation, which is not easily attainable for beginners. So in particular, unless you are an established drafter with an established collection, the traditional route is not the way to go. You don't want to have to be dealing with sideboards or constructing sideboards and acquiring all those extra necessary cards and things like that. So we're just going to exclude that from this conversation. All right, so now let's talk about sealed. This is an environment that you open your 6 packs and you get what you get. There is no draft skill pick choice involved here. You just play what you get. And that, along with the fact that this is an event that you can only buy into with gems, can make this potentially dangerous because there is no gold to gems conversion. You are guaranteed value on this because you're going to pay in 2,000 gems, which is the equivalent of 10 packs. You're going to open 6 limited packs. You're going to be given prize support of 3 store packs, and you get back 200 gems even if you get 0 wins. So you are guaranteed your pack value on this. But of course, in that scenario, you basically just bought packs and not only bought packs, but bought them for gems, no less, which is really bad in the economy potentially. Now, don't get me wrong, you do have the opportunity in Sealed to unlock a lot of value, but to do so, you've got to be pretty good at limited deck construction, as well as playing what is often a brand new limited format when Sealed is being offered. You probably haven't had the benefit of doing a bunch of quick drafts and things like that and learning how to play the environment. But if you can, in particular, get 3 or more wins, you can get a lot of value here, but ultimately you're spending gems instead of spending gold. And it's not until you hit 6 or 7 wins, which is a higher win percentage than the average for even the best limited players. The very best will get 5 out of 8 wins on average. So if you're really good at building your deck, if you're really good at playing new limited environments, and you get lucky enough to beat the average of the very best, you can do some things here. But if you're smelling a lot of if in this scenario, that's very, very true. This tends to be more of a whale style event. People who can just go buy more gems and aren't counting on being able to grind those gems to buy things like the Mastery Pass, which can be a much better value in the long run. Alright, so that brings us around to my beloved quick draft style of limited play. This is pretty much your bread and butter when you're trying to build your collection. You are doing a 5,000 gold investment, and of course you are paid out in gems for your winnings. So you're always converting gold to gems. Even if you get just 0 wins, you're converting at a 100 to 1 ratio, which is not great by any means. But there will be some level of conversion. You're also opening limited packs here, so you're getting that 50% push in your commons and your uncommons right off the bat. And of course, the value and the power of that pick is that sometimes you'll be able to pick more rares and uncommons than if you were opening packs ordinarily. That is where the real value comes in on this. Now, like I said, getting 0 wins is not great, and probably better if you're consistently getting 0 wins to open packs from a purely value standpoint. But of course, you're not going to get better at drafting by opening packs. So even if you're hitting 0 wins more often than not, I encourage you to keep learning and keep practicing, because you will get there. The magic starts happening at just a 1 win. At this point, you are definitively 9 times out of 10 better to have done the draft than in opening the packs. And really, with just a little bit of practice, you'll start hitting that 2+ win category. I myself am just below 2.5 right now, but very consistently hitting 3 and 4 wins in my drafts, not just the 2 or 3. Interesting, what I have noticed recently is my times of hitting 5, 6, or 7 in a particular series are now equal to, or in some cases outweighing, the times that I hit the 0 or 1 category. And long story short on that aspect, if that's still possible at this point, is that means everybody gets better with practice. My average win rates are continuing to improve, and if I can get better at drafting, you certainly can too. And finally, that brings us to the Big Daddy Premier Draft. In this case, I'm showing Dominaria United, because of course at the time I'm recording, that's the Premier Draft that's being opted into most often. The Premier Draft is what I think kind of the situationally best of both worlds. you are risking 10,000 gold, which means you have a higher chance of failure in this, or a higher cost of failure, I guess, is more appropriate. Very much the same way that you do in sealed. However, you also don't have the guaranteed pack value that you do in sealed, because you're only going to open those 3 limited packs, and you're only guaranteed to win 1. However, you can win much more. There is, of course, also pick here, as opposed to the sealed environment where you just get what you get. As always in the draft, you are able to pick a card, and because we are drafting against real people and not bots, I sometimes find that I'm actually able to draft more rares out of a premier event, because those other IRL players are looking at that rare and knowing this is not good to my draft, and they end up passing it to me. It's really not uncommon for me to be able to draft 8 or more rares in Premier, making that 10,000 gold threshold a little bit more tolerable. When you hit 0 wins, much the same way with your quick drafting, you are awarded 50 gems, which is an even worse conversion rate, 200 to 1 here, and 1 pack. At 1, exactly the same as a value draft, you get 100 gems and 1 pack. So on the low end, that 0-1, you're risking much more for no greater reward. That changes, of course, when you start getting into that 2-win territory. Not only do you win a second pack, but significantly more gems, 250 versus 200 in a quick draft. Where things really start to get interesting, though, is on the 3rd win. You still are just getting the 2 packs, but now you're up to 1,000 gems. So this allows you to convert on the top end much more rapidly than something like the quick draft. But of course, that means you've got to be able to win at that higher conversion rate. So Premier Draft is not something that I really consider until you start getting that 2+ win average in your quick drafts. That's your best indicator. So really you're looking at a floor of about 250 gems, and really the best limited players out there average 5 out of 8 wins, or a 62% win ratio. And that's kind of your potential ceiling. Of course, there's nothing stopping you from getting that 6th or 7th win, but the rewards definitely don't build up the same way they do. The most increase in reward is actually between 3 and 4 wins. So that's where you really want to start focusing more on Premier Drafts. Premier Draft is probably never going to replace Value Draft in your arsenal completely, but instead of doing, 9 quick drafts, maybe do 8 quick drafts and 1 Premier, or maybe 2 Premiers or something like that. I also find that this is a great place to use your draft token inside of the Mastery Pass. Hopefully you're converting enough gems every period in order to be able to purchase that Mastery Pass, and that essentially gives you 1 Premier Draft without the 10,000 gold cost. So you have more upside potential with a much lower level of risk, and that can be very, very nice. We have also recently seen Premier Drafts for the set right after Alchemy that features Alchemy cards in it, so you have a slight chance of 2 rares being in a pack, giving you even more draft potential on value drafting for rares. At this point that you're watching this has only been offered twice, and at the time I'm recording it, I had only done it in 1 of the events, and I believe that was with the Streets of New Capenna. Obviously, it wasn't offered during Baldur's Gate because that was an all alchemy set. I think I drafted 11 rares in that Streets of New Capenna series. So really a lot of potential upside and another great way to consider using that draft token. And with all that having been said, don't forget, smash that like button like Ronnie J would. And no matter where in the world you are watching this from, I hope you have a magical day. And until next time, I'll see you in the arena.